Hey guys, this is Jeffrey. Uh, so, really, this video is going to be kind of a little different, where I'm going to be where, as the title suggests, that I where I want to do something fun and kind of educational at the same time. And what that is really a breakdown of in one of my old videos called "Us United: the Chronicles of the Journey and the Unity," which is really kind of like a tribute video. Now, fun fact about this little video here is that it was originally supposed to be like it was a arts festival submission. Now, and really, as you can tell, for those who have been in my channel, I changed the title because it kind of evolved to just like a tribute video for it. So, and really it's going to be a breakdown of this video, and I'm going to leave the link to the video and so you guys can watch it along with me, and also kind of so then you can see what I'm breaking down here. So I'll leave the link in the description, in the comments, and pin it so you guys can check it out. Here we go. So the first 7 seconds already is very powerful, as you can tell. With the shirt that I'm wearing, even like right now, I'm wearing all the gods shirt right now, which is really kind of like a symbol of unity and Zach's arc altogether, where it was where even if you think about like the back, it says all the gods, all the hells are within you, and really that's kind of like the unity of it right there. And really, I brought a chair as a prop to really illustrate how the movement and Zach are thinking about what they're doing and what they're about to do, and you could really tell that the emotion is there. So that's 7 seconds in, and you can tell how heavily thought it was and how it evolved right there. Here we go. Good thing.
Hollywood makes two kinds of movies. They make movies by committee, and they make filmmaker movies. I'm really not interested in movies by committee. They suck. Best movies, my favorite movies are, where you can feel the personality of the director, and it's all about that. That's the only way you can do it. You can't put it before the committee or you're screwed. They'll be like, you'll end up with like a corporate logo. Ladies and gentlemen.
So right there, Angie, I'm acting out really like that quote that Zach gave us, where really in hindsight, like how art evolves into something more, like how I see it now, instead of like it's just Zach saying it, it's kind of like the entire movement and everyone else really kind of saying that quote, like really we don't like how things are just like corporately given to us to just a specific kind of audience so that you can be like a corporate logo, and we just really, and people just generally don't like it like that because it just, not a lot of movies are very unique anymore. So So really, that's how I interpret it, like that. So in 39 seconds, that's really what that whole tangent of me really kind of talks about it is about. So 39 seconds and 3, 2, 1, continue.
Boys and girls, please put your hands together for the director, Zack Snyder! Imagine you're an artist, pours his heart, his craft and hopes. The result will be his magnum opus. But there's an entity bent on greed that has control, and without regard to your genius, it goes back and omits almost half of your.
Now, now, right there, it was. Now, that right there is like kind of like a pointing out situation, as like we, the movement, aren't talking just about Zach. Like, we're trying to put it in like your perspective, like how would you feel if you were a artist or a football player and you wanted to put your vision of the movie out there or a project out there, and really like, and but then there was like this kind of corporate entity to really kind of put out, like, to really kind of butcher your vision of the movie, like in real terms, like you would actually be hurt about it. And really that's what that whole verse of it is. So yeah. And that too. So that's what that whole like part of it means to me. So yeah. Now, that right there, with that little tangent at 125, it really, that right there really symbolizes that, like, really us telling you that, like, we really, just because, like, there's, like, a few haters out there that hate a movie doesn't mean that there's going that you should kind of like your change your vision about the whole situation, and really about how you can just change it all willy-nilly, like really, like we in the real world you're gonna have haters out there, and really that's really kind of like a good thing, because that proves that you kind of made it in Hollywood. You have everyone's attention, whether or not they like it. So really, it's just kind of like, what we're mad about is that the studio is meddling, is because that it's always been interfered in a sense where it just doesn't make any sense, and really we're just sick of it, and everyone else is, which is really kind of like which is why we were going at it. So here we go. So that's at 125, which should start with the hook, I believe. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, 125, and play. Now that right there was really kind of like a battle cry of sorts for the hook, where it's saying, hey, where it was where people were in the streets saying, hey, there's this thing called the Snyder Cut. It was Zack needs to be done with justice. It's saying join the fight. Hurrah, we need to get this done. So that's really kind of like generally the hook of the situation, and you can see that I'm trying to illustrate kind of like rage, and really not kind of rage, but really like determination that the movement had and that people can have. So yeah, that's at 152 with the hook. Let's continue on. 3, 2, 1.
They won. The critics, the outside talking heads can say whatever they want, but people are going to choose what they want to see. They want to see. Critics do not like those movies, but fans keep going to see it. Nobody ever goes out to make a movie to impress critics. You do it for the fans of whatever genre, whatever franchise, whatever comic book series you're making.
Now that right there, like you can see me like kind of sitting down and kind of illustrating like some of the bloggers that are saying that that directors, they generally don't care about they really don't care about the critics, like you do it for the fans. And really that's really what Zach was talking about on Vero, where he said, where someone came to him on Twitter, on Vero, and said, hey, why don't you put this stuff on Vero, on Twitter, so that you can kind of put this out there. And really he said, so that it can be more mainstream. And Zach straight up said, I don't care about the mainstream. I'm just doing this for you guys. I'm doing this for the fans. You deserve this. And really, like, in that sense, like, yeah, like, no one really cares what critics think. They get paid to do stuff. Like, but for fans, they want to see something that they wanted to see for, like, for as long as they have lived, and WB took that from us, but now the fans have won it back, as you can see. So 213. So that's on 213. 3, 2, 1, play.
Dynamic pose reminds the fans at home of Michelangelo. This man's a pro. Snyder stands alone behind the camera. Yo, every shot's framed as if the shit were out of some Renaissance painting by an old master. They tried to hold back the Justice League, corrupt and treated like it don't matter. That's why we're so mad. The battle lines is gonna have to be drawn, and someday you ought to choose which side of those that you want.
Now that right there is like we're comparing Zach to Michelangelo, and really like me like picturing a frame, like it really just seems like that really to me just was really just me like illustrating that Zach, people say that Zach is really a great artist. People don't really call Zach a filmmaker. Like, he's just a really great artist at what he does, which is why we kind of compared him to Michelangelo, because he was a great painter. He was a great artist at what he does, and really movies are kind of like moving pictures. That he's great at what he does. He's a visual artist. That's what he does, and that's what he's really great at. And so that, and really, so yeah, that's 237, and 3, 2, 1, continue.
No one of uncensored expression or an agenda intent. Don't see it a higher growth. Set the potential expensive artistic integrity because of all the harm the suits at those studios do. We made a call to arms and we're grateful.
Now, that right there is really just, as it put it right there, is really just like we saw what happened to Zach and what they did to him, and really everything that has happened, and it just lit a fire under us to start this movement to get to really fight for artistic integrity. Now, people can say that it's propaganda and all that, but really, if you look at it in hindsight, like now you have movements like hashtag release the Schumacher cut. Now release the Ayer cut. The Ayer cut movement has been there for longer than the Snyder Cut movement, and we're fighting for them as well. Like the Snyder Cut movement is actually trying to help out other movements like the Alita Army with the Alita sequel that they want, with hashtag release the web cut of The Amazing Spider-Man, and release the Schumacher cut of Batman Forever. Like, we really do care about artistic integrity and what these directors made. So that's really that aspect of it as well. Like, we really do care about what these directors made and we want to see it. So that's 249. 3, 2, 1, play.
For soldiers like Jason Momoa are ace in the hole in the struggle for creative control of the DCEU. All the places he goes to, he works for Zack never as he betrayed and disowned us. Thanks to Fiona, Ray Fisher, and Ray Porter, they fought to maintain order and tried to make sure the vision's upheld. Everyone who prayed for his late daughter, you can just tell that he appreciates all of you. It's a shame.
Now that right there is just really like the people who are just a few names of that laid the foundation of the Snyder Cut movement. Like Fiona, she was the person. She was actually the mother of the movement of sorts, where she did all this. Fiona Zhang, she really kind of gave us like the milk of the information firsthand, where she was actually did the research and found that yeah, the Snyder Cut does exist, and really then you have Ray Porter saying that he took part in campaigns at like New York Comic Con and San Diego Comic Con, and Jason Momoa was like a huge mouthpiece for the movement, where he just was like, yeah, I want to see it. The people need to see it, and Ray Fisher, who really like laid his career on the line by ripping up a shirt at San Diego Comic Con at center stage, saying I hired Zack Snyder, and really like that was really really bold of him to do, because like him being like a general theater actor, like this was his first big break. Like that was just really brave of him to do, because he could have lost his whole career because of that. And really, as you can see with this whole hashtag I stand with Ray Fisher thing that he's going on with A over E, he really is one of those dudes that is going to lay on his morals and to die on that hill. So that's that aspect of it. And really, like with Autumn, like, she really did inspire this movement a lot, because really, like, we have done this for her where we would like be like we would like be who we would be doing fundraisers for ASFP, and really, like, we have been saving lives. Like, people say that, oh, that's really just a hit piece and all that, and really just a cover for bullying and stuff. But really, like, we like really you just need to be like an evil dude to do that consistently. Like, yeah, there's probably like a few extremists out there, but there's always extremists in every group, even religion. So yeah, like, really, though, that's how I feel about 3:14. And let's continue. Now, that right there was just kind of talking about like everything that was deleted on that aspect. So, and really how we're mad about it, how we were kind of frustrated and angry about it. So that's 3:27 and hook. What's going on here? Okay. What? Oh, what? Wow, my computer is completely messing up here. Hold on. So that's. Now, that right there was when I was sitting down at between 4:02, and while the media was really talking about it, was really like me representing the movement and Zach sitting down and kind of like admiring and really kind of watching the news very carefully and what they're doing, and saying that it doesn't exist, and we're just kind of like being patient about it, and really really at the same time kind of admiring how the media has been talking about the Snyder Cut, that it kind of began the zeitgeist, I think people call it, where the Snyder Cut has now become like this very historic thing where we're kind of admiring it in that sense. And so, like, we're kind of like sitting down, getting angry that they're saying that it doesn't exist, but at the same time, we're admiring that about how much progress we are making in this journey. So, yeah, with that aspect, that's what it means. So, let's continue. 4:02 and 3:2 1 play. Now, that right there was just us illustrating, like, yeah, like we get it from a business standpoint. That's you want to make money like the Marvel movies, and we do know that and we do understand that with how the MCU has been, it's kind of like the comic relief now that every comic book movie needs a comic relief. It needs to be funny and all that, but at the same time, like that's not for everyone. Like we were just kind of like bland about it. And going back to Zach's quote, and at the beginning of this, it goes kind of like goes like full circle right there, where it's talking where really we don't like movies that are for committee because you kind of look like this corporate logo, aka where everything needs to be like this one thing, kind of like a SpongeBob for that instance, but because that was really kind of like the funny aspect of it. Like, and I do like SpongeBob, but then you had the cartoons like Avatar: The Last Airbender, which started off talking about genocide in a network where SpongeBob was king, and it was like very dark. And the same thing for Cartoon Network, they were like very funny, but then you had shows like the original Ben 10 from 2003 talking about like very like a 10-year-old kid having to grow up very quickly, and really like is also very very dark. Like it gets very dark in instances like you wouldn't imagine. Like it just is very dark in that. So it's like you can have cartoon, so where it's like you can kind of have like a SpongeBob cartoon, but at the same time you can have like a 2003 Ben 10. You can have a you can have a Avatar: The Last Airbender. But now it's like with committee, with the Ben 10 reboot, it it really makes us frustrated for Ben 10 fans that we don't like with the new direction that Ben 10 went, because we loved the original Ben 10 franchise from 2003 to Omniverse, and really that's what it means, like committee versus what's actually going on and what the directors and creators want. So yeah, so that's 412. Um, 3, 2, 1, play.
Competition stripping by a monster machine, monopolizing and being given dishonest critiques. To either beat them or join them are the only options. It seems an obvious choice when you've already got an astonishing lead. The problem with greed is it'll have you demolish quality scenes to instead copy what somebody perceives to be the formula for seeing profits. Stop it, release the Snyder Cut, or we'll set fire to Hollywood streets.
Now that right there was really kind of like a exaggeration, as one would say, and really how like we'll set fire to these Hollywood streets. Like that's not really saying like we'll riot and stuff like that. Like no, that's just saying we'll continue to pressure to fight for artistic integrity against the old Hollywood regime, so that directors can then make their movies and what they want, and really cartoons and TV shows that they want, and not what the studio wants the directors to make, not like the other way around. So really that's what that means by that. And so yeah, 437, 3, 2, 1.
There's an ironic part to this. It's funny how nothing about marble is marvelous. Disagree with this remark and get hit with a Sparta kick. It's hard convincing someone with horrible taste in art to switch.
Now that right there is like a critique on Marvel where it's not where it's funny that nothing in Marvel is marvelous. Like in like really like everything in Marvel now is kind of like the same. Like it's not really marvelous. It's not very special anymore. Like there's nothing very unique or something that has a identity anymore in it. So for those saying that it's just trashing it, like no, like there's actually kind of like a good reason to critique it and all of that because it doesn't need to be the same. And Marvel kind of started it. Disney, the MCU, kind of started this trend where everything kind of needs to be the same about the superhero genre. So yeah, three. So that's 449. 3, 2, 1, play. Buffering.
Lots of the sheep flocking, I'm watching haters. Sheep, but when each plot is designed to cater to the least common denominator, what more would you expect? I peeped how when they dropped the trailer for the just.
Now that right there was really kind of like we do see kind of like this whole sheep metaphor where the common people are now kind of following seeing kind of like following the Marvel regime of like they need the Marvel formula is king. Like the MCU is really kind of like the committee movies, while the DCEU is kind of like this rainbow of colors where it's not just kind of like the same color, it's all just something very unique about it. Kind of so really it's kind of like how with the MCU it's just like a Hershey bar that's plain chocolate, while